was reading the Washington Post Monday evening. Now, I'm a highly trained news professional, so please don't try reading the Washington Post at home. Anyway, I came across a story about a map maker named Neil Freeman. Now, map makers, I know, don't usually make the news, but Freeman, well, he has a very big idea. His new map of the United States is redrawn in 50 new states, each with an equal population of a little over 6 million people, and each with the same number of electoral college votes, the same number of congressmen, the same number of senators, even Steven across the board. It all makes perfect sense. Or does it? I'm Steve Green. This is Trifecta, and let's bring on the recently redrawn Scott Ott and Bill Whittle and map out this map madness. Let's go first to Scott, reporting in from the great state of Pocono. Scott, Freeman developed his map by starting with the 50 largest cities in the country and an algorithm, this is all science, an algorithm to group counties based on proximity, urban area, and commuting patterns instead of the, the arbitrary lines and borders of our current map. Sounds pretty smart, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, what has been the problem in this country of ours, if not for our slavish devotion to our historical roots? I mean, I think the fact that that our forefathers have bound us within these artificial lines drawn on maps and have so hindered us from good governance has been the overriding problem with the country. If you look at our Constitution, it's largely framed just because of where the boundaries were on the 13 colonies at that time. They never thought we'd have another, how many is that, 56 states or whatever it turns out to be. And so, this seems like an act of pure genius that falls right in line with all those people who think we should get rid of the Electoral College.
Well, it keeps the Electoral College, it just alters it. It makes it fair. All right, Bill, I've heard you complain in the past that living in California, your vote, well, it doesn't count for squat because it doesn't count for squat. California is pretty much a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democratic Party these days. But where you work, Los Angeles would become its own state, and where you live out in the valley would be part of another new state called Temecula, where, you might have a fighting chance to make your voice heard each election. Or you could move up the road a little further north to the state of Toul, which would probably be dominated by conservatives. That's around Orange County. So isn't this a plan right-thinking California should get behind?
Well, first of all, as a proud citizen of Temecula, home of the porn goggles, I would like to say thank you very much for that introduction. I'd like to move next door to, what was it, Sheetrock? Whatever, is that the one right next door? Oh, Shiprock. There's a lot of sheetrock down there.
Shiprock.
I got to tell you, I actually kind of like this. I really do. Because it does go to show you that, I mean, you look at states like South Dakota, for example, or any, what's that state? Ogallala now. That state, Ogallala, has the same electoral power as New York or California. Because, as you say, there's an equal number of citizens dwelling in it. There's something remarkably liberating about this to me, and frankly, I just think it's because, the reason that the progressives are trying to eliminate the whole idea of federalism and the Electoral College is they just want to be able to campaign to large urban audiences where they live and win 7 or 8 cities and you win the election. Something like this would mean that you really would have to treat the country like a country. And I don't have any particular inborn affection to the state of California. I certainly love the geography of Los Angeles and Temecula, but California can go pound sand at this point, as far as I'm concerned. I say sign me up. I think it'd be great for conservatives if this happened. Because what it would do is it would give the non-urban areas, it give the more suburban and rural areas the equivalent amount of political power.
I've got a commenter at vodkapundit.com who would disagree with you, Bill. I wrote about this one as soon as I saw it. And this commenter noticed that most of these equal states would be dominated by 1 or 2 Democrat-controlled urban areas, essentially wiping out the influence of rural America in national politics. And most of the South, as we've come to know and love it, would disappear too under this avalanche of big city voters. So I don't know how it would play out, if you're right or if it's my commenter.
Cut off their food, man. Cut off their food. Go ahead.
There you go. The partisan politics, though, that isn't what really bugs me. And I'll even admit that the great state of Ogallala Well, it's a lot more fun to say that even Colorado is. But my problem is this, you know, human history is messy. Human beings are messy. We have messy lives and messy borders, and I'm okay with that. I think we should all be okay with that. This need to force our messy selves into completely rational systems, well, it's essentially totalitarian. It's the bad days of the French Revolution and their 10-day work week with their 100-minute hours. It's an attitude that says, I know a better way. I know a better way to provide for retirement. I know a better way to provide your health insurance. I know a better way to educate your kids. I know even a better way to draw your country. Well, you know what? You don't. For Bill and Scott, I'm Steve Green.
Viva Temecula!